Alright guys, got asked a few questions on the rent to buy stuff. Is it a scam was the first one. The answer to that is no, not unless you've actually bought into something that was a scam. The reality is, from a seller's point of view, if you own the property, the way I see this is quite simple. It's an opportunity to get rid of a property you may have been stuck with. And there's lots of properties I know here in the matter people have had for 5 years. There's at least two opposite my apartment that have been sat empty for 5 years. People don't even use them for holidays. But the point being is, there is money locked into that from a business point of view. But also the reality is, this may be the way of getting rid of it and getting what you want for it. First thing is, rent to buy. People have got them on a 1 to 5 year, but I mean, I could even see some people going to 10 years or finding a way to extend it. I mean, a prime example, I know some people go, I ain't gonna wait 10 years for my money. Yeah, but you could actually do like 1 to 3 years, and then at year 3, they go and get a mortgage. So the whole point is, you're looking at a certain point, there's a balloon payment, so you're letting them get enough equity in the property so that they can go to the bank and actually mortgage it. And that there's a prime example of why this may actually be a good idea for some people. The other thing is, I looked at some of the stuff relating to the banks. The banks are still building properties, and the problem with banks building properties is they finance them as well. Now, the big problem you have with that is when you build an apartment blocks, for example, the cost of the building is going to be about 45% of what that property is being sold for. So do they really need your 20-30% in there when, for example, say, I mean, this is doing 100,000 to keep things simple. So they sell you at 100,000 and it costs them 45,000. Are they really going to be that bothered about you paying 20% down or whatever? No. They'd like it, of course they would, because they've then recovered they've only got 25 grand to recover back. And then they're in sheer profit. But the reality is, if they've got in-house financing, they only need to recover 45,000, but they financed you a mortgage, so they're not going to get 100,000. They're going to get the mortgage term as well and the interest on that. So they're doing well out of that 45 grand they put down. But also they're going in and saying, here, there's the keys. All you have to give us is the taxes and the agency fees and administration, about 13%. So the rest of it, basically, don't bother about the deposit. We'll work something out and it gets spread into that mortgage. And that's the problem. You're dealing with new build properties where they are still financing some of them at 100% mortgages. They are still, you are dealing with a new build which has new aircon, new electrics, new kitchen fittings, new bathroom fittings, new plumbing. May come fully fitted as well. Compared to a lot of properties here in the matter, they've still got the 1980s furniture in a lot of them. They've still got some of them have even got the old electrics. I mean, the one Igor bought, there's another video about that because he had to rewire the entire building. But to be honest, if you're buying a place here, rewire it, do the plumbing before moving in. Highly recommend. Same reason there's a water tank to go in downstairs here. Another thing is put a water filter in because there seems to be a problem with the water. Anyway, go back on tangent. So the point being is, you're trying to sell your property around the same price as one of these new builds. Now, there may be a bit of difference in there, 20 grand, 40 grand, whatever. But the whole point is, you're not going to be a million miles off. The problem is, yours is an older property. You're going to have electrics that were installed at some point and no certification, the same with everything else. You're looking at a property that will need some renovation work, possibly outdated, etc. At the same time, you're trying to get a similar amount of money to something that's modern, newly built and ready to go. But here's the big clincher. You also need 20 to 30% deposit and about 13,000 for cover all the costs on the property. 13%, sorry. Well, this one shows 100,000. So you're looking at minimum of 33,000 euros to move into an older property. Which one are they going to go for? Well, they're possibly going to go for the new build. Myself, I prefer the other ones because of the locations. Now, rent to buy can make this more available to a lot more people, because there's a lot of pensioners. There's a lot of people looking at this for a second home option. A lot of people looking at it from a just want to move in. They've already got a job set up and make money online or whatever, but not really that keen on putting 33,000 down, 43,000 down as a deposit. Quite simply, a lot of people haven't got it up front. Rent to buy, there is no upfront cost on a lot of them. Some people might actually want 10,000 up front, some 5,000, some like 2 months in advance or whatever. But in earnest, you're looking at, you need to pay the building off within 5 years. This is why it's a 1 to 5 year. But there's other options in there that I want to cover now. Joe Bloggs decides to move into this property. At year 2, so he's paid it off 2 years. He wants to basically take the ownership of the property. Now, there's 2 options here why he would do it. First one is his rent's going to be pretty high to pay the whole property off within that 5 years terms. The second one, he wants to take full ownership and responsibility for it, because at the moment he's still just a tenant. He may have a contract written up and got the seller to agree to sell it to him, and this is part of that term. But at the same time, for a bit more security, at year 2, he's decided, I want to take the property, I'm going to take ownership, and he goes to and gets a mortgage. He can get a mortgage because he's already paid 40% of the building off. He's already got the equity in the property. The other thing around this 1 to 5 year thing is you don't have to pay the taxes yet, because you're the tenant, you're not the owner. So from an owner's point of view, it's more sellable to tenants, because they're looking at it, they can pay a lump sum up in advance or different ways of paying it. But if they say they had 13,000 would have gone on the taxes at day 1, they could sort of defer that to the end and actually pay you 13,000 off the amount for the whole property. And you may work it in different ways, maybe reduce the rent over the 5 years because they did a initial deposit. So many ways of doing this to make it work for everybody. But somebody also asked me, what if they walk out after 2 years? Guess what? You just got 40% of your property back, the equity in it, because they paid it. You don't owe them anything because you tie that into the contract. Some people may think that's a bit unfair, but somebody's trying to sell their property. So you've got to look at it that way, because you've basically got a 0 interest loan for the 5 years, because they're not charging you any interest on it. It's an agreed price, and you're going to pay it off over that period of time. All right, Eagle's back. He's got his trailer with him. So that is one of the things I want to bring up, is the fact is you're giving somebody the ability to pay a property off with no interest on it. The owner can get out of the property. They own the security on the property because they don't sell the property till the end. The taxes aren't due on the property till the end because you haven't actually purchased it as somebody moving into it, which means that, like I said, you can either make a bigger deposit at the beginning, or if you haven't got it, you haven't got it. But the point being is it works in so many ways for different people. Now, I know I'll get some people go, oh, well, it's not for me, but that's the whole point. This is the whole concept here. 0 down is the other one, where basically you're taking over somebody's mortgage and just taking it over. That's another setup. But the point is, there's different things to suit different people, and this was just one of the ones I was thinking of when I sit there and I look and think, you can move in a brand new property with just paying the taxes, or you can get an older property, may have to change the water heater, pipe work, plumbing, update the kitchen, update the bathrooms. Which is the most viable option? You're going to look at the new ones in many cases. The other side of this being that if you want rid of the property and you're getting an older property and you've got a ability to pay it off in different ways, it gives flexibility, which is often what people want when they want to buy a property, because sometimes people work seasonally. Some people have an initial amount of money they can pay up front to reduce the rent over the next 5 years, so that at the end it's still paid off. But they may actually turn around and say, you know what, I want to pay another $5,000 off this month because, I don't know, sold something or did something, which gives them the opportunity to reduce the rent monthly towards the end or increase it. This is why I think it is something worth looking at. Anyway, Thanks for watching.